So today we're going to learn about utilizing the RemoveFile table in Install Shield. And in order to do this, we first need to take a look at the direct editor. And then from here we need to locate the RemoveFile table. Now this table is composed of 5 columns that we're going to learn about today. Now the first column is the file key. Second column is component. Third column is the file name. Fourth is dir property, and the last one is install mode. So for today's example, we're going to pretend that this MSI leaves files behind after uninstall in the incl files folder. Now the vendor didn't author a poor install, but we're just going to assume for today's learning purpose that this MSI installer does. So in order to remediate it, we need to access direct editor, the RemoveFile table again, and click the new button. So this is where we're going to add in the information to remove those files that get left behind. So the first part is the file key, and this is what identifies what it is you want to remove. So it needs to be unique. Can't be the same thing. The next is the component field, and this references a component that you know is already getting removed on uninstall. I typically use an audit component because I know that those audit registry keys get removed on uninstall. Here we specify the file name. We'll kind of cover that in more detail. There's different variations you can do here. The dir property, this is the path to that incl files folder, so it needs to be the public property that's identified in the directory column of the directory table, and we'll look at that as well. The next is install mode. There's 3 different options, so you can either have those files removed on install or uninstall or both, depending on what option or what it is you're trying to do. But for this example today, we're going to removes. So the first thing that we need to do is identify the dir property I was referring to earlier. So we're going to cancel out of this. We're going to go back to the files and folders, and we need to determine what the dir property is of the incl files folder. So whatever the public property is. So we go back to direct editor. We're going to locate the directory table. I'm going to minimize these down so we can see all 3 columns together. We have the directory column, the dir directory parent, and the default dir. So for the incl files, I'm assuming it's this one. Based on the default dir, looks like it's going to the incl files path. The parent directory is offline, but we'll check this in a second. And looks like my directory properties incl files. So we jump back to the files and folders, and we can see that the parent directory was offline, so we can jump back and I believe safely assume that this public property is in fact the one that we want. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and scroll back down to the RemoveFile table. And click new. And here we're going to start actually entering in some of the information. So here's where I was explaining earlier where we need to define what it is we are removing. So I usually do something to the effect of remove files, and then I just paste the public property there, knowing I'm removing files from that directory. And here I typically select the audit component because I know that's actually being removed on uninstall. So when that audit key is removed, my files are going to be removed as well. So the file name here is where things get a little bit tricky. The example.ini, we can say I just want to remove that particular file. You can specify that file. If I wanted to remove all ini files, I would do an asterisk.ini. So that would remove all ini files from that particular folder path. And if I just wanted to remove all files from that particular folder, I would just use the asterisk by itself. So for this example, I want to remove all the files that get left behind there, so I'm just going to put in the asterisks. Here we need to specify that dir property that we looked up earlier. It's the INCL files, all caps, that public property, so I'm just going to paste that there. In the install mode, because I want, when that component is removed, I want my files to be removed as well, so I'm going to use the install mode number 2. So that's how you fill out this particular fields here. So I'm going to click OK, and that's what it looks like when everything's filled out. There is another method for locating the dir property. You can go to the folders, files and folders view. You can scroll over to the destination column if there is a file actually in there, and locate it right there, the INCL files. That'll tell you. It's usually a little bit easier than sometimes kind of having to pick through the directory table. That's just another way of doing it. Jump back to the editor. Now we'll want to make sure that folder gets removed as well once all those files are removed. So here I'm going to specify again a unique identifier. I'm going to continue with my format, remove folder underscore. I'm going to remove that path. The component, I'm going to use my audit again. The file name here is where it gets tricky again. You just leave it blank. For any folders you want to remove, you just leave it blank. The dir property, we're going to paste in the INCL files, all caps. And then my install mode again is going to be 2. So I'm going to click OK, and that's what it looks like. So that's pretty much it in terms of how you use the remove file table. Thank you again for watching. So in this segment of the video, we're going to focus on testing what we implemented in the first segment. So if you recall, we added some specific criteria to the remove file table, and we told it that we wanted to remove all files from the INCL files folder regardless of their file extensions. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate out to the INCL files folder. And I went ahead and created some dummy files of various file extensions that I'm going to add into the INCL files folder. Now these dummy files represent those files that were originally left behind on uninstall. I'm going to go ahead and paste. So now that I've added those files in, I'm going to back to our program files x86 folder so we can watch this root file as we do as we do the uninstall. So I'm going to go to Programs and Features, and I'm going to uninstall our application, accept the prompts. Slide this over a little bit. Accept it. Now we can watch this. As you can see, looks like everything worked as anticipated, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and please check out our website at www.imrsolutionsllc.com.